Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Lorraine 40-ton tank. It's, or 40t I should say. It's actually the Tier 8 French Premium Medium. It's located on the west spawn of Studzianki under the command of PGTraitor. Okay, well this is a tank that was actually in the game and then taken out of the game and then put back into the game as a premium. It's a 4-shot autoloader with a 100mm gun, capable of doing 300 alpha with each shot. So it's got a burst damage of technically capable of doing 1200 alpha, and that's quite a lot of damage for a medium tank, but it does have a rather long reload. Standard reload 35.24 seconds, and well, PGTraitor's reduced it to about 30 seconds. It's a 2.5 shot, 2.5 seconds between each shot. In fact, the inch clip is 2.5, so it does take a little while for the shells to cycle, but it does have a lot of damage. The only problem is this tank really has no armor, so it is vulnerable if it gets hit. And there are a number of enemy tanks. Oh, just took a round from a Shrek. Yeah, I think we are still calling it the Shrek. Some people are calling it Sputnik. I think Shrek's probably better because it's fairly ugly. Okay, Leopard prototype. Thank you. Easily go through the armor of that one. Gets 310, which is a high roll. And the prototype puts himself in a position where he can get taken out, and that's the end of his game. But we've still got one shell spare. Probably best to hold on to it, and yes, uses it very efficiently against the TVP. Another tank that has no armor but does have a very good gun with a lot of burst damage and 4 shells in an autoloader. The only unfortunate thing is that the TVP will reload quicker rather than we reload. And you can see it's actually 32.25 seconds on the reload. Well, we're lucky there because the enemy just lost their Centurion 1. Can we get shots on those other guys? They're the other side of the bridge. So Brigetto, our convoy's fighting it out with them at the moment. He's really not built to actually take those guys on face to face, because he's got very light armor as well. In fact, now he's a one-shot, so he's decided to pull back, which is probably the smart move. In fact, he shouldn't have tried to engage with them and brawl with them at close range anyway. But PGTraitor's going to do the job instead. Take these guys out. Oh, he took one round from the Brigetto, but the Brigetto is now dead meat. And he's gone. In fact, the kill shot went to the Object 140, who came over the top. Okay, so he's into reload again. It is one of these tanks where you can pump out your shells very quickly. The only problem is you're going to manage the time when you're reloading, otherwise you can come proper, because the enemy will just walk all over you because they know that you've got a long reload. There's a fair number of tanks in the game which actually do have long reloads like this. It can be quite uncomfortable for the tank driver, especially when you've got no armor. In fact, the best armor on this thing is 45mm on the front of the turret. It's got 40mm on the front of the hull, and the rest of the tank's fairly weak as well, with either 30mm or 25mm armor. You'll see it on the armor profile and you'll realise, yeah, this tank is not made for brawling at all. It is a light flanking medium, which means that basically it runs around the battlefield at high speed, picking its moment and doing things like that, where it takes out an enemy tank at range and they never knew what hit them until it was too late. Okay, now can you do that? Oh, the Shrek's gone. So he can't get revenge on that Shrek for hitting him earlier. But there is a guard over there and an ISM. The ISM's headed this way, but he is a one-shot. So is he headed this way? No, he's not. He's actually holding position at the moment behind that building. He's vulnerable and he knows it. At the moment, PGTraitor was just blasting off those last two shells, hoping he might get a lucky shot on the guard, but he didn't get it. And now his teammate in the Skoda's moved up to try and get shots on the guard, and he's found him. But of course, PGTraitor's loading again. Sometimes it's very awkward because you think, I've only got 2 shells left. Should I go for the reload or not? Well, the guard's gone, and the ISM's gone as well. And, oh, this is lovely. Look at this. He'll easily slice that Conqueror apart. But he didn't get the kill shot. That went to the Emil 2, who happened to be closer. So it looks like he's actually getting some good shots in. And that 300 Alpha is actually quite useful. And the shells do have decent penetration, 232mm with the standard shells. With the premium APCR, you can actually go through 263mm of armor. But you don't really need the APCR. He is loading them at the moment, PG. I think you'd be much better off with just the standard shells. Now, he did get spotted there, and I think he might have got spotted by that IS-7, or maybe not. Maybe the Batchat 25 ton has come towards him. In fact, the Batchat is the tank that, oh, he's still in reload. He's decided to get out of the way as quickly as he can, try and hide. Only a few seconds left, and then he's loaded, and then he can take this Batchat, who's probably in reload as well. He is. And, oh, he did get one round into us. So that's probably all he had left, and now he's on reload, and he's out of the game. But we're out of shells again, so we're on reload. He was lucky it was only one shell that he got hit by, but he lost 403 hit points. I think it's 390 Alpha, isn't it, from the Batchat 25 ton? It's a 105. Okay, he's now ready to go again. There's only two enemies left, the IS-7 and the CS-59. The IS-7's up to the railway station, stroke factory, and the CS-59 is the only one guarding the cap area. I think he wants to go in with his teammates. The Su-101's closer. I have the feeling the CS-59 might have actually gone into the tree line at the back of the cap area. He's trying to get shots in the IS-7 at distance. Oh, no, Su-101 got the kill. And that means it's just the CS-59 left. I forgot to mention, this is a tier 9 game. Oh, he's not at the back, he's actually at the front. We've got his rear, and now he's about to... Oh, he's out the game, but it's not us who get the kill. It's our Shrek, and the battle is over. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for PGTraitor in the Lorraine 40 ton, or 40t. He managed to get a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage, as well as a 5 effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. And he got a Leather Slayer's medal in that one, because he destroyed 2 tanks or tank destroyers with a medium tank, and they're at least 1 tier higher than his own. And of course, I suppose the ones that he actually killed were the Leopard prototype, which is a tier 9, and the Batchat, which is also, I think it was the Batchat T25T. Yes, that was also a higher tier than him. I think actually the Batchat 25T is tier 10. Anyway, he did get the Leather Slayers, and if we look at the team score, we can see that he did get the highest damage on his team, but he didn't get the highest damage overall. The CS-59 managed 3,946, so he just missed out. In fact, actually, he was in 3rd place because the TVP managed 3,901, just 1 hit point more than PGTraitor, who got 3,900 exactly. So very close right at the top of this game. When it came to kills, though, he actually shares the top spot with the CS-59. They both had 3 kills apiece. 2 kills go to the Object 430U, the Emil 2, and also to the Batchat 25T and the IS-7. And when it came to base XP, yep, he's top on that one. 1,377 goes to PGTraitor, 1,094 goes to the Emil 2, and 1,020 to the Su-101. And they were the only 3 players who managed to get over 1,000 base. He fired 18 rounds in that game, got 15 direct hits on the enemy and 14 penetrations. As I said, these shells are very good. They do a decent amount of damage, and they've got decent pen, which makes it very effective. So yes, you can burst those 4 shells off, but after that you just have to sit around and wait and try and avoid the enemy until you've reloaded again. 3,900 hit points of damage, of which 816 were done at more than 300 meters. He received 3 hits from the enemy, and all 3 penetrated because the armor is very thin. 3 enemy vehicles were spotted, 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 3 destroyed, 1,271 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 86,424 credits from the battle, 38,891 from battle payments, 181,491 altogether. And after repair, ammunition, resupply and consumables, and yes, he did use premium ammo, he ended up with 100,260 credits profit, 1,377 XP times 2 for the first victory, 4,132 from personal missions payout, 207 for this being a premium vehicle, and because he was in a platoon, he ended up with 310 from that as well. So a total of 8,781 experience points from one game, which is very useful. Let's have a quick look at the armor profile for this thing. It may look okay, reasonable, but it's not actually. 40mm on the upper plate, actually comes out at just about 50, lower plate 40, but it's fairly well angled, so it's actually coming out at 68. If you do try and go for the low plate, you might bounce off it, but you might not. The turret, again, is very thin. In fact, the strongest armor on the tank with 55mm impacted armor there. You can see under these little cheek plates here, and a bit just underneath the oscillating turret. Of course, you'd expect an oscillating turret to have strong armor, mainly because it's a fixed gun, and it can have the heavy armor at the front and be fairly light on armor at the rear. I'm afraid if you can see here, it's 70mm on that bit there on the oscillation, and it coming out at 71. The cupola's weak, it's only 30mm. Upper part of the turret, 45, coming out at 60. Sides of the vehicle are weak, 30mm, coming out because it's flat-sided. You can see that the bustle at the rear of the turret, 30mm. Remember, that's where the autoloader mechanism is. Rear of the tank, the hull, 25mm, coming out at 26. You can easily pen these things from above if you're an Arty. 20mm thick armor, easily go through that. So let's have a quick look at the live version. With a 100mm round, you could easily get through anywhere on this tank. It is very, very easy to pen. Yep, it's light because it's designed to move very quickly. In fact, the Lorraine 40-ton tank, which that's why it gets its name, 40t, not from being 1940, because normally they say milli and then give the date of the year that the design was completed. In this case, it's actually a 40-ton tank, and the design was actually completed in 1952. They actually built 2 prototypes. It was developed in the 1940s, but completed in the 50s. And it did pass the trials, but it never got accepted into service, so it never became a real tank. And consequently, both of the Artys that were designed based on this tank also failed. They never were accepted. The Lorraine 15550 and the 15551. Again, all around the same time that they were being put through an oscillating turret medium tank, but no, they didn't go with it. They actually decided to go elsewhere for their designs. So let's have a quick look at the armor. The modules. If we look at the modules, we can see that, that's it, better there. Driver in the center up front, he's got an ammo rack right around wrapped around him at the back, just behind him. So it must be a bit uncomfortable having all those shells with the possibility they might go off. It's a 3-man tank. The only person who's actually dedicated to his role is the driver. The commander, TC, is on the right-hand side, the gunner on the left-hand side. Both of them are involved in actually feeding the shells into the autoloader, which is why it's such a long reload time. And we've got the radio directly behind the TC as well. So if you fire the shell in from this direction, you'll probably take out the radio. And if you fire it in from the other side, you'll more than likely hit the ammo rack or set the thing off altogether. But there's so many big ammo rack storage areas. If you auto aim onto the side of this tank, you might actually hit the ammo rack and set it off. The engine is more conventional at the back, sandwiched between 2 fuel tanks, but they're actually in the shoulders of the vehicles, you could say at the rear, with the transmission right at the very rear of the vehicle. So yes, very thin armor. It's a death trap if you know where to aim the shells to get an ammo rack. You can easily get the engine, no problem at all, because it's just at the rear of the vehicle, and you'll either get the fuel tanks or you get the engine anyway. But yes, this tank, unfortunately, does not work well when it receives fire from the enemy. So you want to avoid any fire whatsoever. Just try and use the speed of this thing to avoid getting hit and shoot at long range. It does have reasonably good view range, 380 meters view range, and it does have a good top speed, 60 kilometers an hour, so you can zoom about the battlefield. But it is also quite big, which again is it's got a very large profile, which makes it very easy to be seen by the enemy. So really just try and zoom about as much as you can and stay out of their sight, but blasting rounds in when you can, and then zooming off so that they can't hit you whilst you reload, and then zooming back into to do the damage again. And PGTraitor did make good use of the river, or rather the dip running along the center of the map to actually hide from the enemy whilst he was doing his reloads, and then pop up and get some damage. So that's the Lorraine 40t. I hope you enjoyed that replay. It's always nice to see a medium tank that's actually being used effectively to pump the enemy with damage, especially if that damage is pretty lethal. And it is, 300 alpha, 1200 damage in a burst. Mind you, it's a long burst because it's basically 7.5 seconds from the moment you fire the first shot before you fire the last one. But it's a lot of damage, a bit like the TVP, a lot of damage you can get at the enemy, but then you have to run away. But it is a fun tank to play. It's just a bit vulnerable, that's all. I hope you enjoyed the replay. If you did, please give the video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.